Thank you out there for joining us again for another episode of the Pursuit of Purpose podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And today we have with us
Raymond Louis Jr.
Raymond Louis Jr. You said that just rolled off the tongue so poetic, like
Yes.
Raymond Louis Jr. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Ray.
I'm Raymond Louis Jr. I'm the co-founder of the Demand a Better Life Alliance.
Okay.
I helped to start also another organization called Million Men United for Christ.
All right.
I was one of the vice presidents. I was one of the co-founders, and I was the CFO.
Okay.
On the finances.
A lot of hats you had to wear.
Yeah, until I got to Demand a Better Life, and I was relieved of that duty, so I could focus on helping people start demanding a better life for themselves, utilizing the resources that we have, whether it's the financial education, whether it's the real estate, whether it's the mentorship program, just whether it's all the right tools that they need to live a better life, not just for them, but for the people around them, they proximity.
Okay. So based on what you just said there, is the Demand a Better Life organization, is that a community building type organization? Is that what the driving focus is?
Yes, to partner with other nonprofits and other leaders and other business owners so we can highlight them in a partnership. And that way we can build each other up and help people learn about their resources, because you'd be surprised the resources that we have right here in Beaumont that people never knew, never existed, right here in their backyard. So by people partnering up with the Demand a Better Life Alliance, we help people find them, get their resources and learn more about them. For this, like the Pizza Family Foundation, Education versus Incarceration, the Creative Corrections, learn about, hey, we didn't know nothing about the Pizza Family Foundation, Education versus Incarceration.
Right.
But what are we seeing every day? Incarceration because of a lack of education.
Yes.
So just being the co-founder of Demand a Better Life, it opened up a lot of other doors because now we have our own network.
Right. Very
so
good.
Your network determines your net worth. So and then at the end of the time, it's about us just collaborating.
See, what in our audience, you're going to learn throughout this episode something that we've learned and we really enjoy about Raymond. Raymond is a bit of a musical poet. As he speaks, you're going to find these wonderful little nuggets, these little hugely wise nuggets that come out with such nice flow and rhythm, like a little cadence. Right. He'll throw out things, and he just did it. It was one there. It was nice. So, your network determines your net worth, right?
Correct.
So you're going to hear all sorts of things like that. So pay attention, ladies and gentlemen, because the little words of wisdom coming through right now.
Get your pen and paper ready. Or plan on going back.
They're worth listening to, because little words like that, if you can adopt them as trains of thought, that train can take you places, right?
Places that you couldn't even imagine.
That's right.
Beautiful.
So when you say resources, and we'll get to you and your personal stuff, but we're going to talk a little bit about the Demand a Better Life. When you say resources, does that mean money? Is that what they do? Is that what you do? I mean, you said education? What does that look like? Give me a little better detail.
Resources are for this. You're looking for a job. Whether it's you looking for somebody to inspire you and lead you to where you need to be. Most people, when you look around, they don't have a mentor.
That's true.
And if you don't have a mentor, how can you know what's right or what's wrong?
What are you modeling yourself after?
Because having a mentor changed my life.
Yes.
Because our people perish for the lack of knowledge. But if you don't have no guidance, then that means you're going to be a drifter.
Yeah. Right.
And that's what the world is based on, drifters and non-drifters. So by me, others, the resources is some people, they don't have access to some of the things you have because they didn't come from where you came from.
That's exactly right.
So when it comes down to your resources, that's basically like your network.
Yes.
And once you tap it into a network that's connected by this network, now you have three people with three different networks, but look at the resources I have. Look at the resources that you have. But you put it all together, come on. That's infinite potential.
And what you just tapped into is an amazing concept. It's something that we work with in our coaching and counseling practices. It's moving from a competitive mindset to a growth mindset, where all parties benefit together, and that none of us are each other's enemy,
right?
And that we are all each other's ally,
right?
And there's nothing that you have that I can't have without hurting you,
right?
Yeah, I don't have to take it from you for me to have it,
right?
All I got to do is learn how you got it,
yeah,
and then we can both have it together, and then we can both have more,
right?
I can't tell you the countless number of times I'm visiting with. Usually it's people on the younger end, late teens, early 20s, and they're getting started, and they get into any job. I said, just whatever job you're in, go to somebody who is either at the collegial level or maybe a little bit promoted, maybe a manager, maybe a shift supervisor, and just ask, hey, how did you get here?
Right.
And tell them, I'm not out for your job. I'm just curious. And then next thing you know, whether I promote here or whether I promote at the next opportunity, I take that knowledge with me.
Right.
And you can tell at first they look at you like, I never thought about that. And then we give them the disclaimer Rob just did, which is you're not going to take anything from them. As a matter of fact, tell them, I'm not here for your job.
Right.
I just want to know. I want to know what you know. And boy, who doesn't like to share that?
But most people don't realize that none of us is as smart as all of us.
Yes.
So that takes away the competitive, and now we can grow together, because this is what I tell the people that I mentor. You have to surround yourself with people you can grow with, not go with. Because a lot of people go through what they go through and never grow.
Yeah.
Because they stuck with just Now, hey, you better change that around and turn that little wild you to a big you. And that's us. But that's universal laws.
Sure enough.
Yep. But that's something else for them to think about.
Good advice.
I wanted to say about that.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's one of those little nuggets right there. Turn the you from a little you, the Y-O-U, to the big you, us. I like that. That's good, Ray. Real good. If y'all ain't careful in the audience, y'all gonna catch Ray preaching at you. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
I try.
It's coming.
I try to stop.
It's coming.
But when that word hits, I just come on.
Well, the Bible says be instant, in season and out, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's the charge, right? So, where were you born, Ray?
I was born in Galveston.
Oh.
But
like on the beach or like
Galveston Hospital. Because a lot of the times, a lot of people couldn't go to Beaumont, so they had to go to Galveston.
Right. Okay. Right.
So I ended up being born in Galveston, but raised right here in Beaumont. And I've been in Beaumont for a good while until Hurricane Rita hit.
Rita, yeah.
Then I moved to Dallas for a little while. And
that was 04. 05. That's right. 05. I'm sorry.
That's right. 8. Ike was 8.
And then after that, Hurricane Ike hit.
Yep.
And I said, God, you brought me back to Beaumont to bring me back to Dallas. I'm staying in Dallas. And so I stayed in Dallas for 2007, got in school for instrumentation and electronic technology.
Okay.
ET. So I went to work for Network Plus, Network 8 Plus, and electronic technology, learning how to build computers and different stuff like that. But I just was inquisitive about computers, how did it run and different stuff like that. And it taught me on some stuff, like on some spiritual stuff, because when you dissect the electronic technology, it's AND gates and NAND gates that help all of this work. So that shows you just the power of God able to move.
Isn't that amazing?
In seconds through gates.
Yes.
I just had one of those moments. I'm like, God.
That is fascinating.
Wow. Yeah. Didn't think about that.
I'm going to give you something to think about.
That's right. That's right.
All kinds of good stuff coming from.
But I stayed out there from 2007 to 2009.
In Dallas. So 2 years.
And then God brought me back again to Beaumont. And at that time, my dad was going through some financial situations. So I had to step in and kind of help him to get some stuff straight. So the house that I was raised in was a house that was passed down to me from my grandfather. So they had just passed the grant to start building homes that was affected by Hurricane Ike and Rita.
Right.
So I ended up getting my old house tore down and ended up getting a new house built.
Oh.
And ended up running into my wife, meeting my wife. And I'm 30 years old now and ended up having my first son, Raymond Louis Jr. And just started my family back in Beaumont from 2010 on. One of my sons was born in 2009 and my other son was born in 2010.
Well, congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of changed my life and my perspective, but I wasn't going to leave Dallas until I completed my certificate on what I started.
Yeah.
So
good.
I'm an advocate on always learning. Get as many certifications that you can get because that's something that they can't take away from you. That's knowledge.
That's right.
And then you just apply it. But
That's good stuff.
That is
very good stuff. So, did you have any siblings growing up?
Yes, I have an older brother that when I was 12, my mom passed. My mom passed when she was 38.
Wow.
So my brother was 17, my sister was 15. So it was kind of hard on our family. So it kind of brought us to some dark places. And when you hurt and you're broken and you're going through a lot of stuff, you want to hurt somebody because you hurting. That's why I always tell people broken and hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
So when we see people out there that's doing certain things out there that we know it ain't right, just take the time to learn the root cause of why are they acting out like that. Because a lot of them are dealing with psychological stuff. A lot of them are just dealing with a lack of emotional intelligence. So have empathy to understand where they're coming from.
And yeah, like you said, a lot of people are not equipped from their upbringing and from their experiences. They're not equipped for the circumstances that they're put into.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I can speak from personal experience, sometimes we fail in our response. And that failure, unless you learn from it, you don't fail forward.
Right.
You stay right there and you repeat the cycle again until you learn from it.
Right.
And that's a tough thing. It can be. So it doesn't, what you're saying is don't accept the behavior as though it's good.
Right.
See if you can help equip them to make progress from it. Right.
Right.
Find growth.
Right.
That's amazing. So your mom died when you were 12. What took her? What caused her to die? Is that,
what people don't realize, your intake. My mom loved Dr. Pepper soda waters. So she sent us to the store all the time to get those Dr. Pepper sodas and stuff. So her kidneys, she wasn't drinking a lot of water.
Really?
To flush out the Dr. Pepper and the soda. Look at the soda when you pour it out. That's acid.
Yeah.
So if you keep consuming this,
one here and there, you're okay. But if that's all you drink,
and you're not. Yeah. And my dad used to tell all the time, Brenda, you need to drink some more water. But Dr. Pepper just tastes so good. So
my mentor growing up, Ray, he was a pastor of a church, and he said that when we get to heaven, we're gonna sit down at the table with Jesus, and he's gonna serve Dr. Pepper. That's what he said.
Speed up the process.
Yeah. So when we get there, it ain't gonna hurt you.
It won't be water to wine; it'll be water to Dr. Pepper. Well, it did originate in Texas, which is God's country. So here we are.
Well, Dr. Pepper's definitely not going to sponsor this episode.
No.
But I am so sorry for your loss.
Yes.
But it was a combination.
It was kidney failure,
and she was a diabetic.
Okay.
It's because there's a lot of sugar in those drinks.
A ton of sugar.
You were diabetic.
Right.
And she knew she was diabetic the whole time, and she was still, wow.
But it loaded up until the diabetes took over because a lot of people in our family have diabetes.
Okay. How did that affect, like, you were 12 years old, still relatively young, but I mean, you're pretty probably mature at that age. How did that affect the rest of your life from then on, like with your family and everything?
It forced me to grow up a whole lot faster than the average, because my dad, he only had one son, but I had a older sister and an older brother.
Okay.
So my older sister, Demetrius Nelson, and my older brother, Derek Jermaine Nelson, he took them in because they never really had an opportunity to even build a relationship with their dad.
Right.
Because when my mom left the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I think about it, she still was young. So they never got a chance to really build a relationship with their parents, with their dad. So my dad kind of just raised them. And my daddy taught me a hard work ethics, because I would watch my dad at work from early in the morning to 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, because he had his own mechanic business. And when a lot of people couldn't bring their vehicles to the dealership, they would go to my dad. So my dad kind of was like the Vogue community mechanic.
On the north end of Beaumont?
Yeah, the Vogue community right off Trent Road.
Yeah.
That's where I grew up at.
I know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
How about that?
And growing up in that area, it kind of helped me learn a whole lot more about family, because mostly everybody in that community are related in some kind of way. So we learned it take a village to raise a family, which what we don't see out there, because people don't want somebody else correcting their kids. Well, you didn't get corrected, so you're going to pass it on to your kids and your grandkids. And now we got 3 generations of a curse of fools despise correction. Walk with the wise and become wise, because a companionship of fools suffer great harm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's some big facts, because yes, because birds of a feather and the whole nine yards. But if you hang out with a certain type, it's gonna rub off on you.
Oh yeah.
You're not gonna change the group. The group's gonna change you.
Absolutely.
That's just the way it is. You can't change that.
That's that old group. My training was in education, and that's what they would say often is they would say, if you took a corral full of tame horses and put in a wild horse, the tame horses are not going to tame the wild horse. It's going to be the other way around.
Right.
And it had to do with how do we respond to kids who probably find themselves at a age where a lot of maybe those type of young experiences are now starting to manifest in behavior problems.
Right.
What do we do about that? And that's a whole other discussion about how to respond. But it was first being realistic about the solution, and it wasn't going to change. But it could help. It could give, if we could just put them in that positive environment from time to time and get what we can out of it.
Because that's why I put this book together for them, because it's the enemy within. Because when you realize the enemy within, it starts with you, then everything else could be corrected.
Yes.
So this book was based on my life, on what we just got to talking about. At 12 years old, and by the time I'm 15 years old, just found myself in dark places. But I had to go through a transition. And I have my mom and that's why I love to think about the books and what we're doing, because a lot of our loved ones that are gone can still live.
That's right. Creating legacy for them. That's good.
So
That's good.
I put this book together to correct my mistakes through other youth, troubled youth, to let them know you don't have to live like that. You can live a better life, but first you got to defeat the enemy that's within you. Because like they said, something I was reading a while back, it said, if you master yourself, it's better than victory over 1,000 wars, 1,000 battles. Because it's master you.
Yeah.
Then everything else gonna be mastered.
Yes. That's good.
But
it's very good. Something that I challenge people with in the coaching in our coaching practice is that I tell them this. Usually it's pretty blunt when it comes out, but I tell them you're the problem. And that's the good news. Because if you're the problem, you're also the solution.
Yes.
So guess who has the opportunity? You. And nobody else is responsible for it.
Right.
So your book is an illustration of that.
Mm-hmm.
What you just said.
Yeah.
Victory is a choice. So we're obviously going to take a little segue right here into some advertising for the author portion of Raymond Louis Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Our guest today has written a library, a small library, a series of books, and they're wonderful. They're great for families. They're great for kids.
Yes.
They're motivational. They're transformational. And go ahead and tell them about that one, Ray.
But see, this book here, Victory is a Choice. It came from after discover the enemy within.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, it says, welcome to, I started a whole faith over fear. With me and my wife, and that's one thing, I don't want nothing to ever be what I did. It's about the people that I have around me.
Mm.
And my wife, Stacey Lewis, is the co-founder of the Demand Better Life Alliance with me. But we started a whole faith over fear movement.
Mm.
Because when we look around out there, is people are feeding the wrong thing. They're feeding their fears and they're starving their faith.
Mm.
Because when you're feeding something and you're starving something has to die.
Yep.
And when you're feeding the fear, faith is dying.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of you feeding your fear and feeding your faith and let the fear die.
Mm.
But I wrote the Welcome to the Faith Over Fear movement. It said life is full of choices, some easy, some difficult, and some that feel like they could define your future. But what if the power to change your path was already in your hands? What if the strength to rise above every challenge was something you could choose? No matter what obstacle stood in your way, this isn't just a story, it's a call to action. It's about pushing past doubt, shaking off discouragement, and discovering what you're truly capable of. It's about believing that setbacks don't have to be the end road. They can be the turning point to something greater.
Mm.
They said in these pages, you'll need characters who face real struggles, moments where the weight of failure, fear, and self-doubt try to hold them back. But they'll also discover something deeper within themselves, something stronger than any challenge. They'll learn that perseverance is more than just endurance.
Mm.
It's a what? Choice.
Mm-hmm.
So are you ready to take the first step to see past the obstacles and recognize the power that's already within you? The journey won't be easy, but guess what? It will be worth it.
Yep.
The Faith Over Fear movement.
That is an excellent launch into that book. Yes.
So where does the audience find your books, Ray?
They can always go to the demandabetterlife.com.
Okay.
Or they could go on Amazon.
Okay.
So our book is being spread all over the world.
Okay.
Right now. I'm having people reach out to me all the time because they're dealing with stuff with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be sure to include a link when we share the podcast. I'll look up the link on Amazon and I'll include it.
Okay.
And I'll include the Demand a Better Life Alliance link.
I appreciate that a lot.
So what was discipline like in your childhood home, Ray? Did you get some whoopings?
I got a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Even when my mom was still alive, because my mom went from being able to drive to almost being confined to a wheelchair.
Okay.
So when you said that, I had a flashback of one whooping me and my sister got.
A combined whooping. Those are the best.
Man, she was the one that influenced me on that.
A community.
You're blaming her. I see.
Because we was getting in trouble.
But Mama, I didn't even do it. She made me do it.
We was getting in trouble. So my mom called us in and said, no, y'all get in this house right now. RJ, Demetrius, Nikki, you get in this house. So we go up in the house. Like, man, we just looking through the window, looking through the back window, looking at the other kids playing. Like, man, your fault. We could be playing with them. Shoot, now you done got us in trouble. And we just looking through that back window. So somebody want to get a bright idea. You know what? Now we in a 2-story, the second floor.
Okay.
This was before my mom got into a wheelchair, because when she got into the wheelchair, they moved us to D4, I think, at the bottom. So we still was on the second floor. Okay. So she still was walking and driving. So look what my sister want to influence me on. She say, hey, RJ, what if we get the bed spreads, the sheets, and tie them together? And throw them out the window.
Y'all make an escape room.
And come down and go play. Mama never know.
Lord.
Because she with Miss Callan and they playing in the front. I'm like, Nick, you know we're gonna get our butt toe up. So she find, what if we fall out? We ain't gonna fall because I know. I'm like, okay.
So
no. What we do, Todd? And then who gotta be the test dummy?
And you were under 12 years old. I mean, you were probably 8 or 10 years old at the time. And neither one of y'all, how old was she? Probably. Yeah.
My sister passed me big by 4 years.
Okay.
So she probably was maybe 13, 14.
And neither one of y'all Boy Scouts, neither one of y'all knowing how to tie knots. It's probably just like I wish it was a knot, you know.
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
It's
a not enough. So what happened?
So
that's great.
She said, you know what? We got it. Now who gonna test it out?
Oh.
Well, you the lightest one, and you the smallest one. Go ahead and test it out. Hey, go ahead. Throw it out the window. So go ahead. No, I got the climbing. Boy, I'm holding on to the dear life. It's holding up enough. So you know what? I hurry up and yeah, I made it. I'm playing. So my sister looking at me like, it's my time. I said, come on. So she got down there. So she climbed down. So both of us made it. Now we having fun, we playing. But what do our friends want to do?
Go up the rope, huh? No?
Oh, they want to go to the front of the apartment.
No, where she's at.
Oh.
So we playing, and just some kind of way, we just lost focus. And where do we go?
End up in view.
In view. Hey, what? RJ, nigga, y'all come over. What? How y'all? So what she does, go in the room, look at this sheet, this bootleg.
Y'all escape contraption.
So she go back there, boy. We both got one of the worst whoopings we could ever even imagine.
So you were learning engineering.
Yes. Definitely, it was ingenuity for sure.
So I guess I always been creative.
There you go.
I love it.
Nikki, you got me in trouble.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but it was just fun time, family time.
Yeah.
Getting out and playing time instead of just.
Yes. You know what? One of the things that I love the most about your story, this is, and it may seem like a small detail, but it's an illustration of something that I'd like to point out for our audience and for you. You know, in a modern age, so many of the people in political circles, or even just people want to be authorities on parenting, they talk bad about corporal punishment, about whipping kids, about punishing them too much, or letting them have their whatever. But what I watched when you told this story, the minute I asked you if you got whoopings, you smiled. Because you immediately went to a place that was positive and good, and a warm memory. There was nothing, oh man, I got whipped. You didn't cower. You didn't look in fear. You didn't look in regret. No. You didn't seem as a victim, but you got a whooping.
Right.
And my mentor, my pastor growing up, he used to say from the pulpit, children are much like boats.
Mm-hmm.
They're better when steered from the rear.
Hmm.
They get where they need to go.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And so I just really appreciate that you had a very I watched your face, your countenance was very positive when you recollected about catching a whooping when you were a little boy.
Change the laws. Stop saying you can't whoop your kid. Not abuse. No,
that's not abuse stuff.
But bring the paddling back to the schools. Bring back if Brother Robbie saw my son acting up and he got on him or shook him up a little bit. I didn't go try to shake him up.
Right.
And that's what we're missing. And that's why we see the crime the way that it is. Mm-hmm. That's why we see the drifting the way that it is, because you're going to either be a drifter or a non-drifter.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing about a non-drifter, they will discipline.
Yes.
Because discipline, motivation will get you going, but discipline will keep you growing.
That's it.
That's it.
And that's what they're missing, a lack of discipline.
And something that's being dissipated through this lack of discipline is respect, like you said. And see, something that we've talked about a lot is, as humans, we owe each other respect.
We do.
We don't earn that. We owe that. Because when we show respect to each other, it's a reflection of who we are inside. Mm-hmm. If I don't respect myself, I can't respect you.
Right.
But if I have self-respect, I will automatically show you respect. It doesn't mean that I have to trust you.
Right.
Trust is earned. Respect is owed. And we have to instill that in these kids with discipline.
Yes.
They won't respect themselves if they have no discipline.
Right.
They have to be taught discipline in order to have self-discipline.
Well, y'all just made me think of something. Is that possibly part of the reason why a lot of parents struggle with how to do discipline well? Because they don't respect themselves.
That's right.
And thus they can't really respect their child enough to see it as an opportunity.
Right.
Yes.
And they were so against it.
They're afraid.
Yes, they're afraid. It's not discipline's not oppression.
No.
Discipline is really love.
It's not abuse.
It's not abuse. It's not abuse. And in most situations, unless you just have that amazingly hard-headed kid, there's not going to be a lot of whoopings, because the first few that are impact make a memory.
Right.
And so now there'll be other punishments. Hey, you're not going to go outside and play and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And that's what I tell folks. I said, the older the kids get, the more that option does fade down the list. It's never off the list.
Right.
I mean, I hope nobody in the audience has to take that 17-year-old out behind the barn where there's no witnesses. But
it happens.
It happens.
It definitely happens. And see, with my kids, 15 and 16, I'm like, whooping's out the door. No. You got to just punch them. You can't go here or take something away that they love.
Yes.
But stop trying to be their friend.
And their hero.
Yes.
Be the parent. And like I tell a lot of my people, a lot of times the parent, the father, has not mastered being a son yet. So he can't master being a father.
That's right. That's very true.
So when we look at the Bible and the Word, Jesus knew how to be a good son. So he followed the Father. So if we could look at the small examples like that, then you can really master on being a father.
Yeah.
And then just like the woman, she has not mastered being a daughter yet.
Right.
So she can master being a mother. Because she don't like correction and she fighting again. Look, let's master one thing so they can master it. Somebody got to get it. Somebody have to break the lineage.
And yes, and that's another thing that we espouse here. We talk about leadership a lot, and that's really what you're talking about is being a leader. But before you can be a leader, you have to learn to be a follower. In order for this to work, anyone who espouses or who has ambition to become a leader has to learn how to lead one first. And that one is yourself.
Right.
Yes.
And that is a combination of being a leader and a follower at the same time. And if you can't master that, if you can't be equipped to do that, you won't be a leader or a follower effectively of anyone else.
But that's why it's called follow the leader.
Yeah.
instead of being in the world in 2025 where it's follow the follower. I'm like, follow the leader is going forward.
Yes.
Follow the follower is going backwards.
Right.
Y'all are going in two opposite directions.
Right. Right.
And without you even knowing.
You're right.
Because it's the blind leading the blind by design.
Yeah.
Because you didn't listen. When God put one word in my mind, this was maybe a year ago. He said, when you see people talking, I'm catching hell. Why are he or she catching hell? And God said, he split it in the middle. There's two L's in the end, right? He didn't learn to listen, or he didn't listen to learn. And that's why he catching hell. Because if you get the first L right, they won't double up on you.
That's great.
I like that.
When they double up on you, he is catching hell.
Yes.
That is great.
Instead of he listened to avoid hell.
He didn't learn to listen.
He might listen for purpose, and then he'll get some help.
Yeah.
Go ahead now.
Uh-oh. We are the
learning from Ray.
We are the acrostic kings, man. We are making it happen.
The three wise men.
Oh man.
Or the one between two dopes. I don't know.
I think that's a pursuit of purpose back there.
There it is.
Y'all doing a great job.
Thank you.
Well, as you were growing up, you mentioned that your dad was entrepreneurial. He had his own mechanic shop. He did a lot of things. Who did you look up to as a mentor as a young man?
Well,
I mean, you went through a lot. You lost your mom. You had all these siblings, and like, did you have someone that you see looking back that was a mentor in your life?
One of my cousins, my older cousins, Coach Arthur Lewis.
Okay.
He's been active in the community for over 40 plus years. He's been a coach. He's been a teacher. He's been a youth advocate to this day. 40 plus years. He was one of the head coaches at Ozan, when it was Ozan, well, BU. And then he was a principal, I want to say in Silsbee or Lumpton in Hardin County.
Okay.
And then he does a lot of work at the Minnie Rogers Juvenile Justice Center. He does a lot of work in all of the schools. He just was on my podcast Monday. We had the opportunity of having 3 Lewises.
Wow.
My wife with 39 plus years in banking, that was a coach, a basketball coach, a youth coach, when she raised her kids. And then you had me. And then my wife is a certified life coach. So I said, wow, you look at this, 3 legendary Lewises on a platform, on a podcast at the same time. But he inspired me to, be a man and always reach back. A hand to give is a hand to receive. And I learned a lot of principles by just watching them from afar. And I thank God that he never gave up on me. And now I'm on the pursuit of my purpose every day.
That's beautiful.
That is.
So that's an illustration of something that we talk about a lot about mentoring. Mentoring can be a confusing thing. The concept of mentoring is hard for people to sometimes wrap their mind around. So, and I don't mean this critically of anyone, because you got to start somewhere, but a lot of times someone will go to someone else and say, will you mentor me? And that's a little bit of a mistake. The way mentoring works is the mentor always selects the mentee.
Yes.
They have to.
Yes.
And it takes a commitment, an internal commitment from the mentor to select that mentee and stay devoted to him. And that sounds like what your cousin did.
Yes, he did.
He believed in you enough that he just stayed with it. And look at the results.
Right.
Here you sit, paid off with interest. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yep.
And it's funny you said the words that a company that I invested in almost 6 years ago with our gold and silver business. And it's 7K medals in 41 plus countries, educating people about financial education and how to secure their money. But that's their thing. We believe in you. And they stand on it. And when we went to church and we started a life skills class at Abundant Life UPC in Silsby.
Okay.
When we started it, they thing was we believe in you.
How about that? Yep.
Twice in 2 different places, and neither one of them talked. Because that's what the world needs, more people that really stand on, we believe in you.
Yes.
But the question is, do you believe in you?
Right. Which is probably the goal of those programs, is to get you
Accountability.
to believe in you. Yes.
Because accountability is everything.
Right.
If you never draw your line, how can God draw his? Because God always have vertical victories when you draw your line. This is what I'm gonna do, and this is what I'm not gonna do.
Right.
And that's what we see in the world. They don't have no boundaries.
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah.
And they wondering why they living in the mess and the drama and the confusion.
Right.
They make it for themselves.
My words is, don't get stuck in the mess on the left that you miss the message on the right.
I often ask folks whenever they get in a situation and they're telling me about the consequences. This is where it hurts. This is what they did. This was this, that. And so I let them finish. And then I'll ask, I said, so which one of your personal principles were you applying in that situation? And usually they're a little bit confused, like, huh? I said, oh, there was some personal belief, things you believe are the right things for you.
Right.
What was that? And a lot of times they end up describing something that's not very complimentary. I said, well, then that's where we start. Changing that principle.
That's right.
Because principle is like plumbing. Right. Yeah, clean water in, dirty water out. That's what we can't live without it. You try living in a society without good plumbing. And well, that's what personal principles are.
That's where plagues come from.
That's where plagues come from. Yes.
But that's the root of it.
That's it.
Because the deeper the roots, the sweeter the fruits.
There it is.
So if you're not deeply rooted in it, you're easily uprooted.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of people live in, shallowness. They are so shallow.
Right.
They emotional creatures, and they don't realize the emotional intelligence that you need. If you don't have emotional intelligence, then you will always react.
Yes.
Instead of respond.
That's right. Which is emotion-driven behavior. That's right. And that's what explaining to folks that every experience you have is going to be fused with an emotion.
That's right.
Should you not be emotionally intelligent? It would be terribly derelict to not train that up.
And if you are governed by your emotions, if you sway with them, they blow like the wind.
Yes.
And if you sway with your emotions and that's what governs your life, you make it impossible to grow.
Yes.
You can't grow if you're blown by like the wind.
Right.
A seed blown in the wind can't put out roots. It can't.
It's easily uprooted.
And that's all you are as a seed until you put roots down.
That's it.
And a seed can be what? It can be eaten.
Yeah.
It can be devoured.
Right.
Yeah.
By decay. It can be devoured by an animal. It can be devoured by anyone.
Yeah.
So better put down some roots.
Right. Because where's that seed growing from? The darkness beneath the surface. It's what people don't see. Is what determines everything. Because once it goes, where's it going to? It's going to the light.
Yeah.
But most people get stuck in the darkness.
Right.
It's like they said in the Bible, the men with the 3 talents and gifts. A lot of them bury their gifts and their potential. And what did God say about that? Gnashing of teeth. You wicked. You're wicked, and just like you're one of the worst people out there, period. Because you didn't do what I created you.
You didn't live to your potential.
Now it's wasted.
Wasted in fear.
And that's why my mentor told me. He asked me this question. He said, where is the wealthiest place in the world? Let's see. I don't know. He said the graveyard. Because so many people died with the multi-billion-dollar ideas, all the multi-trillion-dollar potential, because they was too scared. They buried it. They buried it before they died, and then they died.
Yeah.
And
what's more than that,
wow,
we as a society fail to build on the accomplishments of those that are living and aging. And the ones that leave this world, we didn't build, we let them die without documenting what they've done and building on it for the next generation.
Yes.
Wow. So often that happens. And that wealth that should be generational is just
it's a generational
curse. That's part of how this podcast was started, Ray.
Look,
was to document our stories so that people could be inspired, transformed, and build a new future with new possibilities.
Romans, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because if there's another quote, one of my
going
said, my mentor told me, he said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be the ones that can't read or write. We got AI. He said it would be the ones that fail to unlearn to relearn. So if you don't unlearn all the bad behaviors to relearn new behaviors, you're going to keep repeating old behaviors.
That's a fact.
Because I tell them, you don't determine your future. You determine your habits, and your habits determine your future.
Yeah, that's true. We call it a paradigm, a system of habits that produce results. And what happens when you adopt a habit is you develop a system of autopilot.
Yes.
It's just like when we wake up, everybody does this. When you wake up in the morning, you do a certain thing.
Yeah.
You do a system of things that gets you and your day started. You don't even have to think about it.
Right.
You brush your teeth at a certain point. You drink coffee or eat or whatever it is you do, get dressed a certain way, put one leg in before the other one a certain way. And if you try to do it differently, you might fall. You know what I mean? Like you've got this system, and as long as you keep it going, you don't have to think. It just happens.
Yesterday, I was visiting with a young father, and I'd known him when he was a teenager, and there's been a lot of loss. But it was good to see him, doing good things. But he started coming back. And this is the first time I've seen him in years. But he started coming back because he started having this spirit of doubt, self-doubt. And he works in a system, so there's some above him, some near him, next to, and then some below. And it's when he's dealing with those above, that's when he feels that inferiority takes over. So I asked him, as he's describing his habitat, and I said, so what habits are you putting in place to create the new habitat? He's looking at me, I go, what habitat do you want? And he starts describing the guy he wants to be. I go, good. Now, how are we going to get there? Well, of course, he doesn't have the answer. He'd already been doing it. But that's where we started with this for those morning habits. Let's change one thing in the morning, and maybe one thing in the evening. And then that's it. Let's do that for a couple of weeks and then come back and tell me how it's going.
That's right.
And then let's go maybe another couple of weeks. And then as I'm talking to him, I said, what's he going to like? He's going to like that appetite. I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to. And he has no idea in what a short period of time, what a difference he's going to make.
Come on.
Yeah. And he's an educator. So this could be, he could be a whole new man when he shows back up.
That's exactly right.
He has no idea, but he will.
And that's capitalizing on another universal law. You talked about universal laws earlier, and that's the law of increasing return.
Yes.
And it's all based on incremental, compound, small inputs.
Yes.
Small. It doesn't need to be big.
No.
Like if you want to change your life, you can change it with something that only takes you 30 seconds in the morning. And it can change your entire life with that 30 seconds.
Right.
I'll tell you what, and I've already got a video that I'm going to release tomorrow or maybe even later today about some personal improvements or growth. But I'm going to issue this challenge while we're talking about it on this episode. I would challenge our audience that if you're listening right now, start your day tomorrow and commit to starting it every day with writing down 10 things, people, or circumstances that you're grateful for and why.
Gratitude.
Write those 10, just 10. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you start, it's going to feel awkward. Do it anyway. It's going to be hard. Do it anyway. And when you get this as a practice, 10 things takes 30 seconds or less. And it doesn't have to be huge, enormous, meaningful things. It could be this cup. It could be this pen. but write down the thing that you're grateful for and why.
Right.
10 things. Start out with 10 things. Do it every day when you start your day, and watch what happens in your life. Right. When you start your day with an attitude of gratitude, you have no choice but to live in abundance.
There it is.
And it's going to be positive.
There it is.
To piggyback on what you were saying earlier about the habits, things that you do in the morning, is you just do it automatic. It's called auto suggestion.
That's right.
And people never heard of it. They don't know about auto suggestion, but you can learn it in these books. Like they said, leaders are readers, and a lot of people are not reading like they used to. So how can you grow as a leader if you're not a reader? Now you stuck with the deceivers.
Of course, where is that new data going to come from? Where is that new information going to come from? You have to have a habit of consumption, and reading is, obviously it's a tool. It's a very easy activity, and it's common in our lives. I mean, everybody has some access to it. Now you could even listen.
You can listen.
Yeah, that's like these casts that we are producing, but there has to be a habit of consumption. Otherwise, there is nothing to grow on. Absolutely nothing.
And you're stuck with the deceivers, like you said.
In the land of deceivers.
There it is.
And that's what I say. You're either with the deceivers or the believers. I'm thankful to be around the believers.
Yeah, us too. Us too.
Oh, you better believe.
Y'all got some Rayisms today.
Yes.
So, Ray, I'm going to ask you a question. You've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
You work at a facility, right? You work at a chemical plant. Yeah. Okay. So you work but you also have several entrepreneurial pursuits.
Oh, yes.
You have a nonprofit organization. You have a podcast. You're an author. You have all this going on.
Right.
Okay. So the question I have for you: are you a success?
Yes.
I love it. We ask that question of all our guests. Yes. Okay. And we always hope that they have the confidence to say yes, because it's not up to anyone else to judge whether you're a success or not. It is only up to you. And I'm very proud that you answered that way.
Let me tell you why I'm a success. And it goes into another book. Because I live on the other side of yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Most people never tell themselves yes first because they stuck in a no. They've been told no all their life.
They tell everybody else yes and tell themselves no.
But they tell everybody else yes to all the things that's not living on the other side of yes.
That's right.
The things that they should be saying yes to, they don't. They say no to.
Right.
But when you're living on the other side of yes, every day is yes and amen. And I said yes to my higher power. And God welcomed me to live on the other side of yes. Now bye-bye to the mess.
Bye-bye to the mess.
That's good stuff, Ray.
That is.
Because I'm on the righteous side of God.
Right.
But
so live on the other side of yes and say bye-bye to the mess.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Good stuff, Ray. Good stuff.
Right.
So what separates a success from a failure?
Repeating the same. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting for a different result.
Okay.
And that's the difference between failure and success, because fear is false evidence appearing real. Faith is what God showed me. Acronym of faith, Raymond Louis Jr., is finding ability in the hardship.
That's good stuff.
Now you can be successful because it's faith over fear changes the atmosphere.
Oh, I like it.
I do too.
Nuggets of wisdom with Raymond Louis Jr. right here on the Pursuit of Purpose podcast. That's good stuff, Ray. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Very good. So right now, what is your mission?
My mission is to break this curse of poverty and incarceration in some of the darkest places, not just in Beaumont, but around the world. I had a business partner reach out to me, Pastor Otto Kelly. He is one of the head leaders with the Christian Men's Network.
He's been a guest on our show.
And Pastor Otto Kelly wanted me to go to Ghana in September to help teach them about financial education, teach them about brotherhood, discipleship. And I just want to be a light to a lot of these people that don't have the resources and the knowledge to break that curse that's been plaguing their lineage forever. God brought me back to Genesis, to the beginning of the Bible, for a reason. So I can learn and really analyze everything God did from the beginning to the end of time. And sometimes we have to free our people, and our people does not have a color. Our people is the human race. Mm-hmm. Because I told somebody else this a couple of weeks ago. I say, when you get stuck with race, you miss God applying his G and giving you grace. Mm-hmm. Grace.
Well, that's a good one.
Grace wins the race when people get stuck in race.
Yes.
That's beautiful. I really like that.
I do too.
That's good stuff. Mm-hmm. That's good stuff. See, I'm going to use that whether you like it or not, because I have been so frustrated so often about that exact thing. You get people from all walks of life using the concept of race as a means of argument for different things or an excuse for weakness. And no, we all fall under the same grace.
Yes.
All of us.
You got to ask them, are you allowing God to add his G to it, his stamp?
Are you just holding on to
the race?
That's it.
Holding on the race.
Now you missing grace and mercy. Because when you have the grace, now he gives you the mercy.
For free. Yes. What it's been one of the, I agree with Rob, it's been one of the saddest things is to see people limit their own potential based on some singular identity. And because, race is just genetics. It's not controllable.
You can't help it.
You can't help it. And what's controllable are all the things that you're espousing today, which is this commitment to personal growth, this commitment to personal transformation, and being vulnerable to faith and those sorts of things, not vulnerable to something, some identity that somebody told you, like a society thing. I love that. Thank you.
And that's what I want us to be. With the demand of better life for lives and with the pursuit of purpose, let us continue to build the bridge that transforms lives. So when they look at us, I'm going over that bridge because it's going to transform their life.
Yes.
Don't know what they got over there, but it looks good, sounds good, feels good. Let's go.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Instead of burning the bridges, we're building the bridge.
Well, since you said that, I love it. What is if, and I don't want this to happen, but if Ray died today, what would they say at your eulogy? What do you want your legacy to be?
2 words. Well done. Because it's everything that I do it to the well-being to please him up above. And Lord forbid, if y'all know me, y'all know I'm hearing well done up here. Thy faithful servant for whom I am well pleased because I did what God called me to do without fear. I was faith driven to the day God said, hey, look, I welcome you to live on the other side of yes. Look at all these people that you have saying yes to me, because I'm showing them the vertical victory, and now they're living on the other side of yes. So I am the first person in the world that me and my wife created Yes Land. Yes Land is the modern day promised land.
Okay.
So out there, if you hear anybody saying yes, land, that's Raymond Louis. That's you saying yes to God, your higher power, yes to yourself. And now you can live on the other side of yes. Because talking to Coach Eric Brooks, and I told him about my books and I told him what I was doing. He said, Ray, you realize a lot of households don't even believe yes exists. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. At one point in your life, you didn't think yes exists.
And we've all been there.
Yeah.
Because you were stuck in a mess. But as time came, now God had me dissect message back again. And I look at age. With age, supposed to come wisdom. Now you can decode it, and now you see what the message is. Now you get it.
Yeah.
Instead of, I'm just focused on the mess on the left. That I didn't grow the mindset to understand and comprehend message. That's the word from Raymond.
Yes, the word.
That's good stuff. Yep. That's good stuff. So if I was to get up and talk at Ray's funeral, if you left this world, which I don't want you to do that, so don't get in no hurt.
No.
I would say that you are committed to us.
I am.
And it's very simple.
Yes.
And that is a very honorable and loving commitment.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all having me here to really share my story, because you don't know what this segment will do for the people that hear our story around the world. Now they can pursue their purpose without the false evidence appearing real. Because it's not real. The thing that you were so scared and afraid of really was false evidence.
Yes.
Well, part of the amazing, like what we're doing here is bringing stories of people from all walks of life, all origin stories, all Genesis, and showing the world that success can be wrapped in any package from any place.
Right.
And it can produce results that are changing
Profound.
The entire race of humanity.
Profound.
Right? And you are another example of that. Think about what we've covered today in your life. You were born in an indigent care hospital. For those who are not financially able to afford to pay their way.
From poor.
You lost your mother at a very early age. Raised by a single
dad
father
that didn't know how to properly. He had to get help from a lot of places.
Right. Went through some rebellious times in your life.
Yes.
And here you are turning all of that into making a difference for your entire community. That is a true story of success.
Yes, it is.
And you, in my opinion, are a wealthy man.
I am. Enriched.
Yes. So
enlightened.
You've done very well. Is there anything that we've missed that we have not asked you that you would like to share with the audience?
The technology that we have discovered this week.
Okay.
Now, part of my investments, we invested with a gold and silver business 6-7 years ago. So now with this technology, we are completely changing the whole game of gold and silver around the world. Because now I have started designing my own coins that they will have a pursuit of purpose coin, specially designed for these two gentlemen right here for the first time in history. So I can take any picture and go in my phone, and within seconds, 15 to 30 seconds, create a coin in 30 15 to 30 seconds and have it minted and shipped within 3 to 4 business days.
That's pretty wild.
It is.
And what are these coins made of?
Pure silver or copper.
Pure silver or copper. Wow.
Because gold is at its all-time high.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
It's almost at 4,000 an ounce. So you think about the ones that was investing in gold when it was at $60 an ounce to now it's almost at 4,000 an ounce. So think about that. God released this to us at a time where gold and silver is at its all-time high.
That's amazing.
And that's raw. Me and my wife had a sound money exchange where we teaching people how to exchange the dollars, the fiat currency system, into assets, silver, gold, sound money. Sound money is God's money. So like I told you earlier, God brought me back to Genesis because where was gold and silver first mentioned? In the book of Genesis. Father Abraham was rich in what? Gold, cattle, and land.
Yes.
He had all of it.
And what helped him build his kingdom, which was aligned with God's kingdom? Royal money. The Latin word for real is royal. Royal.
Huh.
Real estate is royal estate. So we teaching people go back to royal goods that was designed for you to have.
Wow.
If God put it way back in the book of Genesis for Abraham, where did he put it for? Us.
Right.
To build his kingdom. Thy kingdom come, seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness. And he will do what? Add all of these other things to you.
Yeah.
That's amazing, right?
It is.
I love that.
I learned that.
So how did if the audience, now that you've disclosed that about the gold and the copper and silver, how do they if they're interested in that, how do they do business with you and get them a custom coin made?
They can reach out to me on my phone, my business line, 409-550-0498. They can go to themanofbetterlife.com. They can look me up on Facebook, Raymond Louis on Facebook. They can go to my Let's Talk Real Money movement that I started 6 years ago because God spoke to me on some stuff. He said, start the Let's Talk Real Money movement so we can talk about what real money is.
Right.
Because money is a store of value. $1, if I sit $1 right there and let it sit there for 10 years, that dollar will be in the negative instead of the positive because it's not backed with real money. Now you think about 2,500. You was talking about this earlier. 2,500 of these. It already takes 100 plus of your dollars to equal one of these dollars. So if I took 2,500 of these dollars at 100, that's over $250,000. At 125 an ounce, I'm at $312,000 from 2,500. If you have $1 and you sit it right there, if you have $2,500 and let it sit right there, it has losses purchasing power to probably 1,000 or 1,500. So you tell me where I put my money at. Exchange the garbage for assets.
Right.
But that's one of them Raymond Louis things.
No, I appreciate it. That's great. That is great. So we're drawing down to a close. We're getting close to the end here. Chuck, is there anything that you'd like to ask?
Rabbi Daniel Lapin, I don't know if you may have heard of him. He wrote a book called Thou Shalt Prosper. And but in his book, he talks about how he challenges people to serve the created. Now he does get into some of those biblical principles of wealth, but he said everybody I talk to, no matter what you're doing to generate, how are you serving the created? Not creation.
The created.
The created, that's us. That's humans, is what he's saying. And I appreciate you developing your way to serve the created. I don't know that I could put it any more simple than
that's
that.
great.
Yeah. So thank you, Ray. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm thankful.
Well, we're thankful that you came and shared your story with us and with our audience. There are 2 questions that we close every show with.
Okay.
And I want to be sure, are you ready to close? Have you shared everything you need to share?
I have one question. You know what? Most people, and I go to another book. Most people, that's this. Where are you dropping your anchor?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because every day you are dropping your anchor somewhere. So I drop my anchor to that rock up above. That's God. And now I can discover what?
The power within.
So where are you dropping your anchor? That's my question.
That's good stuff. Well, y'all make sure you go on Amazon or Demand a Better Life and y'all buy Ray's books because they're good. There'll be a blessing in your life, blessing to your family. They're good for the whole family, or they're good for just you. So definitely take part in that. We appreciate it very much. So Ray, I got 2 questions to ask you. They're kind of similar.
Go ahead.
But they're not the same.
Go ahead.
So if somebody's watching this and they admire you, a young person, and they think, man, that guy's got it going on. I'd like to do some things like that in my own way. But what advice would you give them? Say they're about 18, 20 years old. What advice might you give to them?
You know what? I see a lot of people out there following the wrong people, and they just being a copycat. But having a mentor is cool to be a copycat, as long as it's the right cats.
Yes. Right cat.
Make sure them stripes you looking at putting on ain't a prison uniform,
right.
You know?
Right.
Because these cool cats on the pursuit of purpose, make sure they on the pursuit of purpose instead of another thing.
Yeah.
Being destructive.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Ray. Good stuff.
That's the first one.
Thank you. So the final question that we ask every guest, okay? If you could go back in time and talk to young Ray and say that you're about 17, 18 years old, about ready to finish school, high school, you got your whole life ahead of you, right?
Yeah.
But you can whisper some profound wisdom, some advice in your own ear. What would you say to your young self?
Go to the book, the good book. Be a hearer of the word and not just, you said, don't be just a hearer of the word, be a doer of the word, because a hearer of the word deceives itself. Meaning the younger version of me, listen to do, not just hear. Because it'll go in one ear and out the other. So let it sink in the middle, because your future depends on it. Because that's another book I have called How to Outsmart Your Future Self. And how to outsmart your future self is you listening more than, doing more than you just listen.
Listen to apply.
To apply.
Apply the knowledge you picked up. That's good. That's very good advice.
Apply.
That's profound. Well, Ray, it has been an honor and privilege to showcase you, your story, your books, and all the things that you've done and are still doing for our community. Thank you so much for sharing all your nuggets of wisdom. It's been great. Chuck, have you anything?
No, just thank you, Ray. Appreciate it. Thank you. And we've known Ray for some time, and so it was a goal to get you here to kind of get that story archived. And appreciate you and all your generosity. Thank you.
And it started at the Fatherhood Effect Summit.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Started before that.
Yeah.
It started at that the one that Eric T was, the Unity Conference.
Yeah.
That was where we met you.
I think
Or what, did I get them backwards?
Yeah.
Maybe the Unity Conference was after the Fatherhood
See,
thing.
that's what inspired Miss Jada Camp and Cindy Edmondson.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Jada Camp and Cindy Edmondson, we would have never met.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's true. Okay, so what the Fatherhood was first.
Okay.
So
and then the Unity Conference, and we're gonna have another Unity Conference next year. Okay. We had so many projects going on this year that we have to push it for 2026.
Yeah. Living on the other side of yes keep you busy.
Oh Lord, cause see, we're gonna have we had an event, the Unshakable Beaumont Conference or Summit.
Okay.
And the Unshakable Beaumont Summit, they loved it so much, the partnership with Christian Men's Network, that they requested us to come back in 6 months. So November 15th, we'll have another event that grew from the Unshakable Beaumont event.
Very good.
What we're doing right now is unshakable movement, because, hey, listen up. When you are unshakable, you become unbreakable.
That's good stuff.
What we're doing right now.
That's excellent.
We're unbreakable. You can't break me because I'm unshakable.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
I do too. I do too. All right, that's it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen out there in the audience, thank you again for allowing us to become a part of the Pursuit of Purpose. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Pursuit of Purpose podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And we've had with us today
Raymond Louis Jr.
All right. Thank you guys, and we'll talk soon.